I was hearing some feedback about the accusation.
Robyn didn't save the family. She dismantled it, piece by piece.
Mary and Janelle and Christine specifically were changing.
Robyn had the nerve to say that Mary, Janelle, and Christine changed because they started visiting their adult children who moved away. Seriously?
I was accepted into Northern Arizona University, which is actually in Flagstaff.
The entire family uprooted and relocated to Flagstaff so Robyn's son could attend the college of his choice. Meanwhile, the other moms left their children behind to support that move. And now she's casting judgment on them for staying close to their kids?
But they chose their children. They wanted to be with their children and be happy with their children.
She framed it like prioritizing their grown children was a betrayal of the family. No, Robyn. Wanting to stay connected with your children isn't selfish, it's normal. What's selfish is twisting the narrative to make it seem like you and your kids are the only ones who matter.
The accusations being made against me.
I think there's a natural jealousy and dislike that they've had.
This is classic Robyn. Manipulate the story so she looks virtuous and self-sacrificing, while quietly isolating Cody from everyone else. She does it in every conversation, especially when it's about the other wives.
Logan and Vegas is still part of the family. You know, Madison and Isabel.
Nucleus.
Yeah, but
She even referred to herself, Cody, and their children as the bigger family, the nucleus. That statement alone says everything.
we were there for each other. We had to be there for each other. But I think especially those oldest kids.
The real core of the family has always been the original 3 wives and their children. They built it. They raised the majority of the kids. Robyn came in late, imposed her own rules, and now wonders why no one's around? It's not a mystery. She effectively pushed everyone else out by turning Cody against them. She acts like her kids are the only ones who count, referring to them as the main kids, while disregarding the bonds and history of the others. You can't claim your family was never accepted and then say you're the center of it all. It doesn't work like that. And of course, there's a huge age gap. Most of the older kids were grown and gone before Robyn's children were even old enough to read. Of course, they're not going to have the same kind of sibling dynamic. That's not rejection, it's logistics.
My littlest doesn't remember the names of her siblings because we're just not seeing each other.
Maybe that's part of the issue. In her mind, once a child moves out, they're no longer part of the family unit. It would explain why her kids seem so tethered to her, raised to believe independence means exclusion. She doesn't seem to realize how bizarre and harmful her perspective really is. She wants everyone else to raise their children to be emotionally stunted and completely dependent because that's the standard she holds for her own. And when it comes to Cody, she plays her role perfectly, positioning herself as the only loyal one while pressuring him to disavow his love for the other wives. It's not enough that she's won, she wants them erased entirely. There's also the possibility that the move to Flagstaff was strategic, not just for her son's college plans, but also to discourage certain family members from staying connected. Any relationship Cody had with his older kids that didn't include her was clearly a threat.
Let's be honest, this was never about religion or polygamy. Robyn joined a family with a television contract. That was the draw. And now, she's recasting history to fit a version where she's the misunderstood victim, surrounded by disloyalty and drama, never her fault, always someone else's. But the most shocking part? Saying the other wives had changed because they cared too much about their children, as if their love and presence for their grown kids was some moral failing? It wasn't. That is what family is supposed to look like. And maybe Robyn should have focused more on everyone's children, not just her own. He wants half the land, but brought nothing to the table except junk and drama.
Christine's been hassling me for months to get all my stuff out of her garage.
Did he really say that? While speaking to the realtor, Cody casually mentioned he needed to remove a bunch of stuff from the property, then gestured and said it was all from his failed businesses. Wait, what businesses? Aside from the famously unsuccessful My Sister Wife's Closet, what other ventures did he start that involved stockpiling enough vehicles to make the place look like a junkyard?
I want a place to put my stuff. Yeah, the Barndominium is basically a big, giant garage or barn.
Was the plan to cram all that into his barndominium along with Mary? Did he even ask for permission to store that stuff on the shared lots?
Okay, I don't know if you know where Janelle's at. She's kind of moved this idea. We moved the trailer off.
After all, Janelle had to ask before parking her RV, so why was it fine for him to treat the land like his personal storage unit? And if those businesses were such disasters, were family funds used to support them?
My sister's closet was pretty much a drain.
It's confirmed that Mary and Telcardbeat used shared money, so it's fair to ask what else drained the pot.
It's Sister Wives Closet. Yeah. It's from like the four of us ladies. We're Sister Wives.
Okay. The business was my sister's closet.
The moment Robyn said, "I started a business and Mary was on board at first," was particularly revealing. At that time, Mary was planning to go to college, but Robyn pushed her to drop those plans to help with her business. It's as if she's forgotten everything was documented on national television. She even made a comment about things starting 30 years ago, as though she'd been there from the beginning. That kind of revisionist history would be impressive if it weren't so absurd. Meanwhile, the realtor had to sit through Cody's ramblings, including his shift from calling Mary his favorite ex-wife to criticizing her wet bar, something she paid for herself. If he had simply stayed quiet, no one would be speaking out. But he chose to attack, and now others are sharing facts that don't exactly paint him in a flattering light.
And find a guy if she really wants love. If she wants to find a man, she's going to have to ditch those bitches.
Then there was that moment when he actually told Mary she'd need to drop those bees if she ever wanted to find a man. The fact that he not only thought that, but said it out loud is staggering. He's crossed into a whole new realm of delusion. And let's not forget the legacy of my sister wife's closet. Centuries from now, archaeologists will dig up phoenix pendants from the Arizona desert and misinterpret them as relics of a forgotten civilization. They'll gather around a weathered picnic table and try to piece together the history of the region, completely misled by the remnants of a defunct jewelry brand. Legend will tell of a mass burial in 2019, cheap costume jewelry entombed somewhere on Coyote Pass. Decades later, it will be unearthed and sold for a small fortune, while a documentary crew spends 20 seasons rehashing the event, inexplicably featuring old wedding photos. Somehow, Christine will be blamed for all of it. And maybe, just maybe, someone will finally explain the true purpose of the nanny.
To do, if you want to keep all 14 acres, then buy me out.
And finally, when discussing how to divide the land, Cody suggested splitting it 4 ways: himself, Robyn, Janelle, and Mary, but then claimed he should get half. So, splitting it 3 ways gives him and Robyn 2/3? That's not how math works. But apparently, logic doesn't apply here. Never trust the guy who laughs when you're in pain, especially when you've built your life around him. Cody Brown continues to prove he's the embodiment of entitlement and hypocrisy.
Cody passed out all these rules written down that supposedly he and Robyn and, their nanny.
After 20 years of being married to women who supported him, he had the gall to tell them they'd treated him horribly, and then handed them a list of things they needed to fix for the marriage to work. A list, as if he were conducting performance reviews instead of being a husband. Any reasonable person would have walked out and never looked back. Then there's the ATV incident. His wife, whom he always describes as sweet and shy, goes flying off the vehicle and hits the ground hard. And his reaction? Laughter. No concern, no panic, just amusement, as if watching slapstick comedy. This, despite knowing how dangerous those crashes can be, especially since her own son once needed surgery from a similar accident.
I really don't expect that we'll see Cody. I really don't.
He constantly claims his children are his priority, yet he's ready to put an entire ocean between himself and them. It's hard to take his devotion seriously when his actions scream the opposite.
Why are you
just
saying
because I've been digging up the past.
When I met you, you loved your wives.
We were working as a team.
Even Robyn, the wife he's clearly most aligned with now, confronted him about rewriting history. Watching him squirm as she pushed him to admit he was in love with his other wives when he married them was telling. But her motive seemed less about truth and more about damage control.
If Cody never loved the other three, it would confirm the perception that she was always the favorite. She wasn't defending them. She was protecting the narrative.
Hurts, but
Well, I'm taking your helmet off.
During that ATV crash, she was clearly hurt, slammed her hip hard, asked him not to remove her helmet, and yet he ignored her. His reaction wasn't just tone deaf, it was callous.
Do you know what he really means? Misbehavior. Your misbehavior needs to be managed.
He once told Mary he had the right to treat her poorly for the next 20 years while she worked to improve herself according to his standards. The audacity is almost impressive. Cody once had it all: a lively, spirited wife who brought fun and energy, an intelligent partner who could engage in real conversation, a peaceful, orderly home where he could recharge, and a woman. Now, he's left with one relationship and none of the balance. No fun, no intellectual stimulation, no sanctuary, just the mirror he's been avoiding. And it shows. He looks restless and boxed in, trying to convince himself he's content while the cracks are obvious.
Hey kids, everybody listen. I am your father.
Even his stance on morality is steeped in double standards. He preaches purity and shames his sons for typical teenage behavior while conveniently forgetting his own not-so-pure past. Especially during his early courtship days, where his actions clearly didn't match the values he now demands from everyone else. He didn't just lose control of the narrative, he exposed who he really is. Robyn isn't confused, she's calculated. Here's why her innocent act isn't fooling anyone anymore.
Robyn is still saying, fix that relationship with Mary and fix that relationship with your kids. And
Robyn pushing Cody to reconcile with the other wives this intensely is baffling.
And she, from day one, has been advocating. She'd been, you need to reconcile with Mary for 7 years.
She keeps saying things like, I still think they could work it out, despite everything she's seen firsthand.
not even Janelle.
No.
Cody has made it abundantly clear, over and over, that he's done with Mary and Janelle.
Listen, she doesn't want to reconcile. So we see each other once in a while. We talk on the phone.
Janelle has shown no interest in mending things. Their relationship is finished. And the situation with Mary? That ship sailed long ago. Cody ignored her for years. There's no connection left.
I think Robyn and I are giving her different messages. Like, we're not on the same page on this.
So why keep pretending there's hope? It's hard to tell if this is genuine naivety or an effort to maintain an image. Maybe she's trying to signal that she's still committed to the idea of polygamy, as if that somehow makes everything more noble or believable.
She is pressuring Mary to stay.
But this isn't a new revelation. She's been repeating this narrative for years. Years. She often acts like she doesn't understand what's happening, as though it's all news to her. The wide-eyed confusion feels performative at this point. In moments like these, it seems like she's just waiting for Cody to reassure her again. No, I didn't love them. Only you. The way she centers herself in all of this is staggering. Cody is facing the collapse of nearly all of his major relationships and estrangement from most of his children. Yet somehow, she's the one who needs comfort. This isn't the future she imagined. She's having an identity crisis. Meanwhile, Cody is unraveling and she's offering no support, just more complaints and reflections about how this affects her. Everything becomes about her wants, her expectations, her disappointment.
You've got to stop pushing this on me, Robyn.
Cody ends up having to ask her to stop talking about it altogether. The lack of self-awareness is striking. It's possible the insistence on reconciliation is about more than just emotion. Without the plural marriage dynamic, what remains? There's little else driving the current narrative. The idea of rebuilding relationships might simply serve as a way to keep things going.
I'm just having an identity crisis.
One honest moment did surface, though. She admitted to having an identity crisis. That part was true. She fully invested in the polygamy ideal. But now that the structure has collapsed, what remains? Her children are growing up, her business ambitions didn't materialize, she has no defined career or distinct role. Without the framework of plural marriage, she's just another spouse. And she expected the others to stick around to preserve that illusion for her. Robyn didn't want to be one of the wives. She wanted to be the only one, and she nearly pulled it off.
You would have had so much fun there.
I don't know. I just want to take it.
Robyn's ongoing fixation on Janelle is perplexing. Her behavior suggests something deeper than casual concern, almost an obsession.
Is our whole family coming? And I'm just like, no, not this time.
With Robyn, there was always a very separateness.
Beyond her focus on her own biological children and her dismissive attitude toward those she doesn't seem to consider part of the core family, her actions raise serious questions. At face value, Robyn maintains the narrative that she wants a functioning plural family. However, her efforts appear less about genuine connection and more about maintaining appearances.
He sits here, he moved heaven and earth to get this house for Robyn. They kept all their crap in U-Hauls for months.
Her repeated insistence on being reluctantly pulled into privilege, the large house, the extra acreage, the legal marriage, feels performative.
Right now, Robyn's completely stonewalling the idea of a purchase.
Publicly, she claims she didn't want these advantages, but her actions consistently suggest otherwise. A major source of discomfort seems to be the dynamic between Cody and Janelle. Janelle occupied a unique and influential role in the family. She was Cody's intellectual equal, someone he confided in and respected. This influence placed her in a different tier than the others. In contrast, Mary and Christine often found themselves fighting for scraps of attention and relevance. Robyn, however, swiftly positioned herself as the favorite. Financially and emotionally, Janelle was a team player.
Well, I just cashed out all my retirement, and I don't have any, and it's going to be taxed.
She contributed significantly, even surrendering her retirement savings to support the broader family vision, which ultimately benefited Robyn directly. In many ways, Janelle was the ideal sister wife, independent, low maintenance, and uninterested in drama. Robyn likely appreciated the lack of interference, but may have also underestimated Janelle's quiet strength. The relationships between the wives varied. Mary and Janelle had long-standing tensions, but shared a mutual trust. Robyn, on the other hand, remained distant from both. Her disinterest in fostering meaningful bonds was evident, particularly with Mary, whose attempts to reconnect were ignored. Christine's natural charisma and the affection she received from the children likely fueled Robyn's insecurities. Robyn couldn't compete, whether due to a lack of energy, interest, or ability. Despite this, Janelle remained a non-threat, at least outwardly. She asked for nothing, expected nothing, and stayed in her own lane. Yet Robyn continues to bring her up, possibly to reinforce a narrative that she wanted all the wives to stay and that the family's disintegration wasn't her doing. But underlying all of it is a contradiction. Robyn never wanted to be one wife among equals. She wanted to be the favored one.
Robyn came into our family specifically to live plural marriage.
Now that the others are gone, she's left trying to rewrite history to suit a version of events where she's the loyal, misunderstood partner who just wanted a happy, united family. Christine and Janelle were never that close, until the cameras needed them to be.
Janelle and I are closer now than we've ever been. When I told all the adults that I was going to be leaving Cody,
Christine often presents her relationship with Janelle as long-standing and deeply close, but the reality is more recent and rooted in their shared decision to leave Cody. Over time, Christine has developed a tendency to rewrite the past, portraying a closeness that wasn't always there.
In their mind, they're thinking they're having such a great time.
Janelle, on the other hand, appears more grounded and sincere. While she clearly values their connection, her reactions suggest some discomfort with Christine's more performative expressions of emotion.
I mean, come on, it's amazing. Janelle's going to be so flippin' excited.
Still, the bond between them has grown stronger, especially for the sake of their children and grandchildren, and there's genuine care at the core of it.
Yeah, because I just can't imagine after 30 years,
A notable moment occurs when Janelle weeps as Christine prepares to move to Utah. It's a quiet but powerful reminder of the life they built together and the transition they're now facing.
And with me leaving, she's just been so supportive. I hope I'm there for her like she has been for me.
Their relationship doesn't need to appear overly affectionate to be meaningful. It represents a mature, evolving bond between two women who've shared deep experiences. Though very different in personality, Christine being expressive and emotionally outward, while Janelle is more reserved and introspective, their connection is clearly real.
Janelle dressed up. Okay, I hoped she would dress up, but I didn't know she would really dress up.
Janelle's presence at Christine's events, even dressing vibrantly in support, signals a sincere effort to maintain their friendship. Their dynamic reflects a unique and respectful partnership. They may not behave like traditional best friends, but they share history, family, and mutual respect.
So I'm looking at the girls and I'm like, okay, I'm tired.
What they have now is something authentic, deeply rooted in shared experience and reflective of a strong, supportive form of female friendship. Mykelti didn't choose Christine for the baby's first nights. She chose Robyn. Let that sink in.
And it was still so important for Mykelti to have Robyn there.
The so-called close relationship between Mykelti and Robyn often appears more strategic than sincere, almost like an intentional jab at Christine.
I'm a lot closer to those two, and I'm a lot more bonded to those two than I am to.
Having Robyn present for the birth of Mykelti's first child and giving her roles typically reserved for a bio mom came across more as a provocation than a heartfelt choice.
I moved in with Robyn when my dad and Robyn were first courting because she needed some help with.
While it's true that Mykelti helped with Robyn's children when younger, the depth of their bond seems exaggerated and performative.
I wanted everybody to act classy and elegant the same way the party went.
Mykelti tends to act out for attention. Her behavior often feels juvenile and calculated, aimed at getting a reaction. The way she handles herself, particularly around emotionally charged moments, seems driven more by drama than depth. In recent footage, noticeable tension emerged between David and Tony. During prep scenes, David appeared visibly irritated by Tony, but tried to mask it. Christine likely has to practice a great deal of restraint when filming alongside Mykelti and Tony, whose interactions often revolve around provocation. Their personalities seem built around making others uncomfortable.
For wedding colors, she wanted like 38. It was kind of ridiculous.
Even past comments like Tony mocking their own wedding colors fit the pattern. It's understandable why David might be unsettled. Tony's brash delivery often borders on offensive. Whatever connection once existed between Mykelti and Robyn seems to be fading. According to recent public comments, something occurred during Garrison's funeral that caused a complete fallout. Mykelti has since suggested that Robyn lied about a particular situation, though the details remain vague.
And Mykelti's like, it's fine. He's like, no, it's not.
Tony and Mykelti frequently present themselves as experts since becoming parents, but the tone often comes off as condescending. Mykelti's breathy, overly serious delivery makes her sound more self-important than insightful. Her need for visibility stems from years of being overshadowed. Aspen was often seen as Christine's mini-me, while Mykelti was labeled the eccentric one. Robyn, positioned as the cool older sister, likely gave her a sense of validation she hadn't received.
You know, they're going to be getting married. And
during her engagement to Tony, Robyn showed full support, while Christine's hesitation left a lasting impact. That dynamic has lingered ever since. Mykelti, like Cody, seems to crave constant attention. Once some of the older siblings distanced themselves from the family, she gained more one-on-one time with him, something she appeared to relish.
You gotta expand on that, Tony.
Well, he's like from the same generation for sure. All this boomer stuff that I have no idea what he was saying, but
Tony, he's not a boomer.
Tony's comparison of David to Cody likely didn't go over well. That kind of remark, even if made jokingly, can be stinging. Robyn has often been described as opportunistic, and Mykelti may have been a convenient way to maintain influence within Christine's household. The extent of what was shared or said behind the scenes remains unknown, but the alliance clearly served a purpose. At some point, emotional maturity requires stepping aside and letting others take center stage. Constant efforts to dominate attention, especially through shock value humor or inappropriate comments, tend to wear thin. Growth involves recognizing when to support rather than overshadow others.
Remember when Mykelti told me that Robyn would be there? I just always knew Robyn would be there.
Christine's restraint in the face of it all has been notable. Being sidelined while someone else takes over cherished roles like helping with a newborn would be deeply painful for any mother. And to then watch Robyn publicly praised for her amazing efforts, including sleeping in a closet to help, adds insult to injury. It's arguably the most hands-on parenting Robyn has done without assistance in years. Still, Christine handled the situation with remarkable grace. Appreciate you being here with me. If it made you think, give it a like. Let's reach that 1,000 together. I'm Elena. Until next time, take care and ta-ta.